Howdy, folks! How y'all doing out there? Welcome to another new episode. Well, another new series, another new video on the channel. This is my book. So I've mentioned on a few streams and vids and stuff that I've been writing a book, and I had planned to do the audio version, I guess, myself for the first book on here now and again, and publish, like, they'll put up the chapters as they go on like creative writing sites and stuff like that. And right now it's creative writing month, as a lovely friend told me, so it kind of felt like the perfect time to do this, and it's something, you know, I guess niche for me and my channel, and is one of the only creative things that I really think I can do. And I'm terrified. I'm so scared. Because I've never really done this before. Like the choose your own adventure I put up. I say we a lot, don't I? I put up on here for, like, you choose your own story and it sorts you into a house. That was like something, I guess, creative, and I was quite pleased with how that turned out. But I guess in the end with that, it was like, you know, very much like kind of channel-ish related, so it wasn't kind of that personal is the wrong word, but you know what I mean. And, like, you know, I know there's plenty of people who think I'm quite confident and stuff. I'm not. I'm not. It's a very, very good mask I've had on for a long time. Inside, very different. Like, maybe a pinky is confident. The rest is self-doubt up the yin-yang. Okay, maybe up there too, I don't know. Which maybe some of you can relate to. I don't know. It's weird. I have very little confidence. I think I can do things, but I have very little confidence in doing those things. But the mask is very helpful. And, like, there's a side of this with, like, you know, with doing the channel and everything that's like, it's very much chatting and easygoing and happy and friendly and stuff. And, like, I've been doing that most of my career anyway with retail and stuff. So it's not exactly been a hard transition, I guess, with that. But this is something different because this is just me. This is just, I've written this, I've made this, and it's me saying it and everything. So there's nothing about this that's not me putting myself up for judgment, I guess. And I do want the judgment. I really do. I want honest feedback with this. I want to know what you guys think, if you enjoy it, if you don't, if you whatever. And I will say now, as much as I want that, please give me a little bit of a chance with stuff. Like, obviously, you know, I'm giving you guys a prologue today, chapter one by one as we go. At the moment, there's only about the prologue and 3 chapters that I'm happy with. The rest of it, I'm kind of like, I've written about 5 more chapters on top of that, but I'm kind of dithering on bits and pieces for those, so I'm not going to do those just yet until we get there. But obviously, this is going to be quite far in advance anyway, so we'll see how we go with those. But yeah, so, like, giving them a chance to kind of get to a stage where, like, you know, if you say, I need to know more about this person, that's a good, say that. If you want to know more, then absolutely great, let me know that, because it means that it's working. I'm sucking you in. But yeah, if something sounds weird, or something doesn't sound like it's well written, and, like, as we get further into the book, if things, like, kind of don't make sense on some points, absolutely tell me, because I may have missed things, like, because I've been writing this since I was about 13. And in bits and pieces, and, like, this is the first time that I've actually really properly sat down and, you know, tried to do it properly. And so I'm taking it as, like, when I was 13, that was my first draft, because I think I wrote like 30 pages back then. And it's not, I didn't get anywhere near as far as I have done with this proper writing. But what did Hemingway say? He said the first draft of any writer's work is crap. Which, like, if that's the case, then my first draft when I was 13 was crap. So, like, by now it's got to be better than that, right? But anyway, right? I'm trying to put this off for as long as I can because I'm genuinely terrified by this one. I'm more scared of this than, like, the waxing that I still owe you guys. Like, this is that is, do it now. Like, just wax my face. I don't care. Yes. Okay. Right. Ready? All right. This is In Darkness Light. I actually haven't told what the book's about. There you go. That's another 2 minutes there. The book is a kind of a, like, it's a sci-fi-ish, fantasy-ish story of good versus evil versus eviler. The story takes place on a planet called Millennia, which is at the center of our tale anyway. The planet has at its core an essence, a life force, an energy source, which is called Suma. It's good, it's pure energy. It's what's turned the planet into such the vibrant and luscious haven that it is, or beautiful fields of green for farming and animals and whatever. Gorgeous forests and jungles. It's what allowed the civilization who was on the first to develop incredible technology and cities and towns all across the planet. But things happened, which we'll go into. And I think the first chapter kind of tells you guys some of what happened there. Not all of it, but it's part of the story anyway. So I'll save that stuff for then. But basically something happens. And our story is set quite a lot further on than when those things originally happened. And a planet starts to change. Rather than it just being covered by Suma, it starts being corrupted by the same energy source but turned evil, called Core, which then turns the beautiful fields into vast, expansive, never-ending deserts. Jungles turn into gauntlets that will rip you to shreds. The animal life on the planet turns from, kind of beautiful, wondrous creatures to monsters that want dangerous monsters. And while this is all going on, it gives rise to a fear that puts someone in charge that shouldn't be. The tyrant Elias, who rules with an iron fist, who is crazy. No, not crazy. I mean, you guys will see. But is not good for his people, which gives rise to a rebellion, and to try and unseat him and get his people off the throne and off the council. And while all this is going on, there's another dark, evil threat that becomes more and more kind of apparent. I don't think the people in the main part of the game story don't know about it just right. And the only reason I said game is because I could kind of see this turning into a game if it ever got picked up properly. I don't know. We'll see. But I mean, kind of a dream would be awesome. But anyway, the story takes place as you are following the main protagonist, a young guy who I'm still trying, at the time of recording this, I'm still working on a name. I've got 2 or 3 that I've got for them. And one that I really like, but I don't know if it's kind of weird. It kind of really works in well with a storyline that I've got written. The way I've written this may seem kind of odd to any of the actual writers who watch this. I'll go into that stuff at the end. I'll do the story stuff now for those people who do want. And I'm just out of time. I'm genuinely terrified. Sorry. Right, here we go. Prologue. The city of Haven, a once gleaming jewel of the planet Millennia, tonight is just one more place that had fallen far, thanks to the shadows that sapped happiness from the very soil. It was late, but Haven never really slept. There was always something going on. No matter where you went, there were sights and sounds and smells that gave a visitor an idea of what its inhabitants went through day by day. There was always someone or something watching, and tonight was no exception. Our time together starts along the water's edge, where one would find, if they could get close enough, an imposing building. Stark, no flair, grey, no soft lines, only a clear, no-nonsense sort of feel. If the building itself did not strike that feeling, then the guards who patrolled outside did. In their black and silver armour, the regulators, keepers of the peace in this hopeless metropolis, were a constant reminder to all inhabitants to mind their place and take care with what they said and did. Along the back of the facility ran a row of hatches that, when opened, would drop their refuse down onto waiting barges to be taken away and disposed of. Perching themselves on the dock wall sat 5 rippers, small black birds whose beaks and talons were as tough as bullron. Sorry about that. Was tough as bullron, the metal of choice for construction and fabrication. They sat and they waited, and slowly more rippers joined the watch. Some waiting on the dock wall, some sat on lights, some soaring over the water in the hope of scooping up something alive that the waste from the facility had not already killed. And then it happened. A small sound that the little ravenous birds knew all too well. A small click and hiss as 2 of the hatches opened and 7 bodies spilled out to fall heavily onto the waiting barge. 7 innocents. 7 people whose only crime was waking up that morning and stepping outside. Each face unrecognizable to the lives they had once led. There's one ghost of a smile, still unbroken, still lingering on the face of the last body, to fall from the shaft. Of a man named Jax. He had started his day as he always had, slept in a little past the sunrise, breakfast with his wife and kid, then downstairs to open his store, Jack's Junk, a shop full of knickknacks and treasures that both entertained and assisted his customers. Jack's was an institution. It was that one shop that everyone knew that if you couldn't find the thing you were looking for, no matter what it was, anywhere else, if you went to Jack's and he didn't have it one day, he would have built it by the next. Jax was a tinker, a very skilled one. A tinker and a talent he had passed on to his daughter Izzy, the eldest of his kids. This morning, however, when Izzy came home from her shift working in one of the munitions factories, it was not as she had left the previous night. Battered and bruised, she had nearly collapsed through the door to the shop. It had taken all of her effort just to make it home. Jax and his wife Liza rushed upstairs and began tending to her injuries as she explained to her father what had happened. It seemed that a member of the Regulators, the religious side of the council who also possessed a considerable military force within Millennium's hierarchy, had taken a liking to Izzy. Her presence had been requested at his lodgings, and when she had politely refused, the guard had not taken it well. In the ensuing struggle, Izzy had taken several blows before she had managed to get away with the help of her friends. Through her tears, she told her father how her best friend had been gunned down as she attempted to shield Izzy from the bolt of the guard's blaster. It was one of the few times Izzy had seen fear in her father's face. When they had been younger, she remembered a similar look on his face on a trip back from getting sweets. Her sister Bryn and her had been laughing and playing on their way home when they had passed an alleyway and saw 2 black and silver clad figures kicking and beating a young boy no older than 16. She had gasped audibly when the heavy butt of a rifle caved in the boy's skull, loud enough for the guard to turn in their direction. Jax had come to their rescue just in time, stepping in and apologizing over and over as he had backed his children away from the scene, and given them a stern warning that night. House to our door, I beg you both to keep your heads down and not draw attention. We do not have the luxury of safety right now. There will be a time when you can live your lives without having to worry about where we look, but that is not now. I need you both to promise me you will keep your heads down and look after each other if anything happens. It had been one of the few times she had not seen happiness in those eyes, but that same look was upon his face once more. We need to move. Now, Jack said firmly. He hurried out of the bedroom, stopping only to grab something from the drawer of the bedside table. His heart was racing. They did not have long before the wagons came, as they always did. No one who crossed the guard was around for long. He grabbed his other daughter and began hurrying the 3 of them back downstairs, supporting Izzy as she moved. They were outside. People were still waking up, starting to go about their days as if nothing was happening. No panic, no worry. He and his family moved towards a graffiti wall at the back of the alley. Jax knocked hard 3 times, and Izzy could make out a subtle sound of a scanner. If she had not worked with her father's tinkering for so long, she would not have noticed it. But slowly a crack opened in the wall, and a small pair of eyes peered out from the shadows. Jax, you've got no job scheduled today. I know, I'm not here for that. I need you to take my family in. Get them out of the city if you can, but they need to not be here. The other figure looked like he was going to refuse, but Jax pulled out the small object he had picked up from the table. A blaster, pointed at the man's gut. You owe me, Giz. Don't make me use this. Yes, yes, Giz replied anxiously. Bring them in, quickly now. There's guards heading this way. A small device on the man's wrist had begun to blink red. Jax handed Liza the blaster, kissed her deeply, and held her tight. "You need to find someone," he whispered to her. "Or they'll turn this whole place upside down trying." Jax and his wife had been quietly supporting the rebellion for years. They knew the risks, knew what the Guard were capable of, but it did not stop her trying to hold on to him as long as she could. Tears made tracks down her cheeks as he pulled away from her and gripped his children for what he knew would be the last time. "Jax," Giz whispered urgently. His device was blinking quicker now. "You two take care of each other now." He forced that smile back onto his face as he pulled away from them. He didn't get a chance to say or do anything before Liza pushed them quickly through the opening in the wall. They tried to hold on to the wall as much as they could, but their mother pulled them inside. And that smile would be the last they'd see. The wall closed with their father on one side and the girls on the other, both of them howling in despair. Their mother held them close, and Giz beckoned them all down a set of stairs, which Liza half carried her daughters down. But as they did, Izzy saw out of the corner of her eye a small side room with cameras showing the view of the alleyway. Her father had run back into the house just before a heavy black and silver wagon had turned up, with 6 sentinels dropping from the hover vehicle. The black and silver clad guards are the regulators, their heavy footsteps kicking up dust. Their commander had dropped from the front, unhelmeted as he was. He was lean, 6'2", radiated power. But the face, she knew the face. It was the guard from the factory who had tried to take her this morning. His face was chiseled, a small scar running down across his right eye to a tattoo of the guard's insignia on his cheek. Slick-backed black hair and pale skin, he looked like some sort of bird of prey, especially with those eyes. If the camera could not pick up from here, she would not forget the steely cold gaze of the grey pupils. Izzy was aware of her mother and sister behind her as the three of them watched the scene. The guards, at their commander's behest, placed a charge on the door and blasted it from its housing. As the guards moved to enter, gunfire answered, taking down one guard as the others moved for cover. Blaster bolts were traded back and forth, maybe 30 seconds, before the inside ones abruptly stopped. The commander stepped through the doors first, and a few seconds later followed 2 of his guards back out, between them carrying Jax's limp but alive body. Jax and the trooper he had taken down were thrown into the back of the wagon before the other sentinels returned to their places inside the transport. The commander, however, was looking up and down the street slowly, his eyes stopping here and there. And for a moment, they came to rest on her, or the camera. Izzy's heart stopped. She held her breath. But there was no way he could know. The camera was there, or she was there? The moment passed, and the commander took a small device from his belt, pressed a couple of buttons, and threw it back through the doorway. Climbed back into the wagon, the hover plates kicking back into life, and a vehicle regained its hovering altitude before leaving the alley as a burst of light that fried 2 of the cameras exploded from what had once been their home, but now was only a smouldering wreck of what once had been. That was the last day of the man who had been the final body to leave the facility on the water. A good man, well known and liked in his community, who did the right thing, who gave up his life for his family without a second's thought. Now, he was nothing more than a meal, and the end result of a failed experiment. For as soon as the bodies hit the barge, the flock of rippers took flight. Quick as a flash, now 20 rippers descended upon the feast in front of them. The feast they had been waiting for, the one that always came. After just 10 minutes, with blood dripping from beaks and flesh gripped tightly in their sharp talons for later, the birds had had what they were waiting for. And it was the same every night. Sometimes more, sometimes less, men, women and children. None were exempt from the machinations of the madman, the tyrant, Elias, the ruler of millennia, or the goals of those on his grim council. Right now, that was only one half of the darkness that pervaded and tainted this world. For there was something darker still, more dangerous beyond the walls. Something that had been growing in strength in the wastes. Something that had put fear into people like Elias, making them willing to do whatever they had to do, to find a weapon that would win them their war. But even the darkest shadows need a small light to stand, and somewhere in the turmoil, the betrayal, the fight to survive, the constant fear of death lingering around every corner, there was a small light, a candle flickering. Would it be enough to bring a ray of hope in all that darkness? Only time would tell. That is the prologue. And honestly, having actually read it out loud and for you guys, because like, I mean, obviously I've read it back to myself a few times to a stage where I was happy enough to share it. I feel better. I don't know if that means that is good or I'm just getting used to this, but it's something, I suppose. I'm quite happy with it, and like, I think when the Jax part was happening, like, I don't know if it's because I know what's happening, or like with him and his kids and stuff. I don't know if because it's because of that, or you. I mean, you guys are gonna have to tell me this, or it's because of the writing, you know. But like I got a small little bit of like teariness when I started reading it, but I don't know. Like I said, yeah, I've been bricking writing this, and I want honest feedback. I really do. And right now is the best time to kind of put this up. It's Creative Writing Month. It's good timing to put this up. Yeah, it's fun. And like I said, I was starting to say before we kind of did this. For me, like I write my book. I guess I don't know if this is different entirely to how anyone writes about, but I don't plan to the extent I guess most other people do. Like I know there's plenty of people who've told me in terms of writing, they plan out a lot of the stuff, or they plan out the big things, like all the characters and everything like that. I really do not, because the way I've written it so far is more like of a, I guess, organic level for it. Oh, I don't know what it is. I don't know. The way I write, I listen to a lot of music when I'm writing or thinking of ideas and stuff like that. I will take like a little sentence and turn it, not everyone, but there'll be like a sentence or so, and like hours can go by with me getting nothing out of it. But then I might hear one line and it's like, okay, this is going to happen with this, and this, and this. And it will spiral off into a whole big thing. Like, don't get me wrong, the sentence won't necessarily be a big part of it or anything else like that, but it sparks something. And when I'm writing, it's the same kind of thing of like, I don't really necessarily have a plan for everything. It's some stuff will just pop into my head when I'm doing it, and it might create a character, or it might create an event or a location or a thing. Like I've got tons of stuff I haven't worked into the story yet, but there's things that I know will kind of work for the story I'm trying to tell. Like I've got a basic, very, very basic plot, and that's about it. And I know some bits and pieces that I want for it. But right now it's kind of going well for the writing side, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm hoping these videos will kind of help me with the writer's block side of things. Like I'm getting a little bit now. Like I've been trying to write a fair bunch, and like I said, I'm up to like chapter 8 or so now, and I'm not. I think it's going to go for like 17 or so chapters. I'm not sure for the first book. But yeah, we've got tons to go. We've got a lot to go. And again, like I said, I may end up rewriting some stuff. I've done bits and pieces where like I think there's a bit in chapter 8 where I've written it, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to change like a lot of stuff, but I really want this to be the thing. So I've gone back from, I think like chapter 3, I think I've had to go back to and rewrite quite a lot of stuff. And that might happen. That might happen quite a lot, like as we do things. And there will be like a final version of this when I've actually written it properly that I'll do and I'll read. Also, I'm sorry for like the little stutterings and stuff like that. I'm good at chatting. Like public speaking, which I guess this kind of falls into, is not necessarily something I'm amazing at. I stutter a lot, or I trip over my own words quite a lot. And there's also parts of this where I'm reading it and writing it on the fly, where I think I've come up with like a better way of wording something in my head, or another imagery kind of thing that I've kind of done, and that makes me like kind of stutter a little bit with it, because it's like I'm reading it as I'm doing it, and it's like I'm adding a thing that's not there, so my mind is just going error. But either way, I hope you guys have enjoyed this. It's kind of getting on for a longer video than I was expecting for what it was. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. If you have, then chuck some cheddar on that like button. As always, subscribe if you haven't already, and continue to share the channel far and wide. Any writers out there, let me know what you do. Like I said, what I do, like in terms of writing, music is the biggest thing for me. Music and vodka, honestly. Like some of the scenes later on where they're a bit more emotional, I dabbled in it. such a bit to drink. Because it helps a little bit. But yeah, let me know what you do. I don't know. Or in terms of planning and stuff like that, do you write the same way? I don't know. This is something that's hopefully going to be kind of more niche for the channel. I haven't really seen this sort of thing on a channel before, like writing and reading the book. So I'm hoping it's kind of cool. But we'll see how things go. I will eventually get the lovely Amy to maybe do some pictures and stuff for the book, like for the creatures, like the little the rippers, little ripper birds. Like in the end, they're gonna be like kind of like crow-sized, a little bit more vicious looking, a little bit more scrawny looking, I guess, than crows. I'm thinking kind of more plump body, kind of smaller heads, a bit more skull-like on the face, like kind of like more white bone kind of around there, and then kind of like a very sharp but more blunted beak. Well, not blunted, like sharp. The thing, more squashed, I think is the word I'm looking for. Squashed beak, kind of thing. But yeah, the Bullrun thing, that it's a metal. It's a metal in the thing, and like that will become more like how the hell has a bird got metal on it and stuff like that. There's bits and pieces like that will come up later on as we get into the story. But it's a good story, I think. I really hope. Like I've tried it on a few people, and they seem interested in it, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, I'm going back from wrapping this up, aren't I? Have a great day. Have a great night. Whatever time zone you're in, stay happy, stay positive, stay cheesy. But yeah, sharing this, I would really appreciate it. Share it to friends, share it to writers and stuff. I'm going to try and post this on a bunch of different writing sites and bits and pieces and see how I go from there. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a great day. Have a great Sunday. This is one of the few videos I actually record on the day that posting it. So I hope you guys have a fantastic Sunday. Hope you do something nice and relaxed and chilled. And I hope this was nice for you. A few people have said they like my voice. So whether you're watching this now or like listening to this when you go to sleep, hopefully it helps. Have a great day, folks. Lots of love. Catch you later. Bye-bye.